Hello, everybody. It is day 4, I think, shoot, of my 101 Days Live. We'll see if this works with Angela. She's here. I connected with Angela Hoover clear back in 2017, so it's been a little bit of time that we have been connected virtually, and then may not have met you in person until 2018. 2019, Angela was really a pivotal part of my leap and finding the confidence to move forward in this life of living in an RV on the road, wherever, and just living. So she had taken us into a session to meet our higher self. In that session, she walked us all the way through so that we could have a conversation with our higher selves and get to know her or him or them. And I remember seeing her, and I got her name, but the only thing that I heard was, "Is Idaho your home?" And I came out of that going, well, I don't know, what does that even mean, is Idaho my home? Because I hadn't made this decision. I had the dream, I had a vision where I saw myself traveling, but I hadn't made that choice yet. And Angela's meditation was part of making that decision. Connecting. Hi.
Yay!
It worked, and I was testing to see if the headphones would continue to function for me or not, and they don't when I have a guest. So I don't know if you heard my little reason why higher self and you are so connected for me was because of that meditation you took us through in our 2019 retreat. And I heard her ask me, "Is Idaho your home?" And I came out of that going, "Well, what? What does that even?" I wanted something concrete. I wanted information. I wanted more in this connection with my higher self. But I'll let you keep that in mind as you go into. I'd love to hear from you. You have so much going on. You've got some new programs that you're going to be launching, but if you could briefly just tell us about you and why you're the Angel Queen, and just whatever you feel like sharing with our viewers today.
Great. Thanks so much for having me on, Jessica. I really appreciate it. And I'm super excited. I remember now that that was what happened in that meditation with the higher self. I had not remembered until you just said it. So I'm glad you reminded me of that. And one thing that I just want to say really quickly about that, since it just came up, is that we don't always get what we want to hear. We get what we need to hear, and it comes when it's supposed to come in divine timing. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Angela Hoover, the Angel Queen. I help professional women connect with their inner divine so that they can learn to kick their negative self-talk and rule their lives with confidence and grace. And one thing that I'm really passionate about is making the woo mainstream, because there's such a stigma about woo-woo things and stuff like that, that people who have very professional jobs like me, I'm an attorney, they feel like they can't be their authentic selves. And it's so important for everyone to be authentic, because if you aren't authentic, then people will not be drawn to the correct energy, and you will not have the right kinds of people in your life, and you will attract the wrong kinds of people, and people that you aren't necessarily looking for to attract in your life. So it's really, really important to be authentic. And that is one reason that I love being here, because Jessica Tukey is one of the most authentic people that I know. And she really has, in the last few years, just lived her life the way that she really feels like she needs to be living. And I think that's awesome. And I love it. And I love that she just picked up and moves, wherever, whenever. And I love that you have the ability to do that, Jessica, and that so many people are following you. And I know that there are so many people that are like, oh, I wish I could do that. And I love that you are giving people an example of being able to live your life in an authentic way and, really doing what you want to do with yourself, not what somebody or society thinks you should do.
Exactly. Yes. So tell us a little bit more. Not everyone knows the term woo. My followers do, your followers do, but explain that a little bit more and what that means to take it mainstream.
Sure. So when I say woo, I'm talking about any of the spiritual things that somebody would be like, ooh, that's a little weird, or that's a little like out there, or a little extreme. I'm talking about, doing things like talking to angels, psychic readings, medium readings, things like that. And there's a lot of like healing modalities that I think of when you're talking about woo woo, even things a little more mainstream like Reiki or emotion code. I think some people think well, that's too extreme or out there for me. And it's really not. They're really things that if people will open themselves up to that spiritual side, they really can help themselves a lot of ways. And I think making it mainstream to me really means that, we're making it to where it's okay for you to express that in your life. I was in court today. I talked about spirituality in court, but it was part of this particular case that I was in court about. And so I was really excited to be able to say, and talk about spirit and things like that in court, which isn't something I normally get to do, but it makes it a little bit more mainstream to where it's okay to express these things that you might be thinking, or things that you might be interested in, or things that you might want to learn about. It's okay to be interested and to learn about those things and to be able to do them if you have particular gifts. I'm really of the opinion that everybody has the gifts to be able to talk to their angels, to God, their spirit guides, to people on the other side that have crossed over. And it's just some of us have figured out how to tap in easier than other people. And there's a whole world of people that think that that's weird, or that they're going to be thought of as weird, or what's somebody going to think of me if I come out with this that I know how to do. And I really want to take the stigma away, because it's not weird. It's absolutely okay. Everyone's spiritual path is a little bit different than every other person's spiritual path. And what one person does to connect and talk with spirit, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, is different. And that's okay.
And that is okay for sure. Just before we get into our main topic of higher self, how or when did you discover this gift that you have, and how did it show itself? How did you really tap into it and understand what the heck was happening?
So I've always had it. And when I was little, I talked to angels. I played teacher when I was little, and I had all of these imaginary friends that were actually angels and guides, and I would teach them class, and I taught them all kinds of stuff. And, that's just what I did. And one day I remember it like really specifically, because I was one of those kids. I still am. I have to have my sleep. If I don't have my sleep, I'm like those Snickers commercials where people turn into totally until they get their Snickers and they're hangry. I'm like that, except with sleep. And so, anyway, I had not slept very well for a few days. And my mom came in my room and she's like, Angela, the imaginary friends have to go. And my mom, thankfully, was tuned in enough to realize that I was talking to angels and things like that. And so it was okay. It wasn't a weird thing. And she was like, they have to go. And I was like, okay. Because she's like, you got to go to sleep. Okay. So I was like, okay. So they left. And then like maybe 20 minutes later, she comes back in my room and she's like, Angela, I can hear you talking. Like, what happened? We told them that they had to go. They went home. Like, what happened? And I was like, oh, they flew back in the window. I can't help it that they can come through the walls and the windows. And so I'm not sure that I like consciously understood what I was doing, but of course now looking back, I realized that I was talking to angels and guides and people that had crossed over. And it's a long story, but I have a really great story about George Washington as well. And I didn't know he was dead. And when I found out he was dead, I didn't really understand it because I had been talking to him. And so it was like a really like big thing for me. And I still didn't understand it for a few years. And I'll be honest, Jessica, I didn't realize until a couple of years ago that I was actually speaking, you know, with him while he was on the other side. I thought I was just talking to a person when I was a kid, and then I didn't understand that he was dead. And then as I got older, you know, things get different in your life. And I always had that really close relationship with the angels. My parents named me Angela. And it was never like a weird thing in my house for us to have a healer or a medium or something like that we would call for sessions. And there were 2 miraculous healings in my family that I'm absolutely convinced of. No one can convince me otherwise. And so I've always believed, and my parents always encouraged it as well. Louise Hay wrote a book when I was little called You Can Heal Your Life, and that's been on every bookshelf that we've had ever since it was first written. And so I've always had like a really close connection with her specifically. And then she ended up passing away on my birthday. So that was like an even bigger connection as well. And I always really wanted to meet her, but never got the opportunity to. But anyway, she founded the largest self-help publisher in the world called Hay House. And so I've always been like really drawn to the books and everything like that. And it's always been, you know, a normal thing in our family. Well, then I got into this terrible relationship when I was in my late 20s, and I stopped the connection. And I didn't have any connection for 9 years while I was in this relationship. And I'll tell you, my life really like went poorly from the second that I stopped having that communication with my spiritual side and my helpers. And it didn't get better until really I got out of that relationship and started asking for help again. And it's super easy to ask for help and get help from your guides and your angels and even your higher self. You just have to ask and you just have to tap in. And so I asked for a sign, and I got a really giant sign, and I started following the sign, and then it just all started coming back really easily. And there's even been more open up since then. And I've sort of understood a lot of things that were happening when I was little, like the George Washington thing and stuff like that, as I've gotten older and as the connection has grown. So it's always been there, but there's been like a little bit of time where there was nothing. And then once I got back into it and stopped caring what other people thought, I was able to, you know, move forward and really process the information a lot easier.
Yeah, and you are such an amazing well of information for all things woo. Anytime I have a question about something, I know that Angela can help find an answer on that, whether it's crystals, it's the higher self, it's soul contracts, all of it. She understands it. So she's definitely someone to connect with if you need some assistance in those realms of understanding. So, speaking of higher self, what does that even mean? Because a lot of people watching might not have any idea.
Sure. So it's like a really easy way to think of it is, you know, when you were little and you saw the cartoons that had an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other shoulder, your higher self is your angel. This is a Jessica Tukey drawing. She drew the angel for me. And the devil on your other shoulder is really your ego. So it's a balance that you have of the light and the dark. And without dark, you don't have light. So we wouldn't know what daylight is if we didn't have nighttime, right? And because we have the balance of the two, we're able to see both. And one thing about your higher self is really that higher consciousness that can help you see through all of the stuff that your ego kind of traps. And as humans, our ego traps a lot of stuff. And it's the thing that's always telling us, you're not good enough for that. How dare you think that? Nobody's going to listen to you. What's everybody else going to think? And it's the thing that's like really saying all of those things in our head. It's that little voice, that little nagging voice that's telling us you can't do that. And instead, I want people to listen to the good voice that says, why can't I do that? Of course I can do that. I am good enough for that. I am good enough just as I am, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be successful at it. So I think it's super important to tap into that higher self, because then you can get away from all of the ego and you can start living a more authentic life the way that you actually want. Because if you really think about it, like if you think about, okay, my life would be so great if whatever, whatever. Okay, well, how do you get to the if whatever, whatever? How do you get there? Well, maybe you don't know, so you need help tapping into how you can do this. What's the tiniest little step? And here's the thing. When you tap into your higher self, just like when you did, and they said, is Idaho your home? If they had said, you're going to sell all your stuff, you're going to buy a camper, and you're going to travel around the country, and you're going to do this, that, blah, 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 and had said all of these things that you have done since the time that happened, you might not have done it, right? You might have gotten scared. You might have been like, what? That does not make any sense. I don't understand, because we can't see the whole picture of our lives and understand how to fit it together, because as humans, we're always like, okay, well, how am I going to make that happen? How do I get from A to B here? Or how do I get from A to Z? And then we skip all the other letters in between. And life is really about hitting each one of those little stops along the way.
Yeah, because if we don't hit those stops along the way, then that thing is just going to keep coming back to us and keep derailing us all along the way. So it is completely necessary to make sure that you are tapping in. So how do you tap in to your higher self?
It's super easy. Okay. The first thing is that you have to be aware. You have to be aware of your situation, and you have to be aware of how you are actually being in life. And if you're somebody that is always listening to that ego, like, I can't do that. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I'm not good enough for that. Oh my gosh, what is so-and-so gonna think about that? If you're somebody that's doing that, first of all, you have to have some kind of awareness of that. And if you don't, you're not going to be able to tap in. So it's really the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s of tapping into your higher self. It's super easy if you can do these steps. Okay. So you have to, first of all, be aware of what's happening, and you have to act. You cannot sit around and just let your higher self come. That's not how it works, because your higher self is always sitting on your shoulder saying, this would be good if you did this. And then your ego is always sitting on your other shoulder saying, you're not good enough. You can't do that. How dare you think that? What are you thinking? So you have to be aware in the present moment and move forward that way. And then you have to take action. Okay. You can't win the lottery without buying a ticket, right? And I'm not telling everybody to go out and buy a lottery ticket. I'm not saying that your higher self is going to give you the winning lottery numbers. It might, but that's not usually how it works. What I'm saying is you have to actually move your feet and do something to make it happen. I don't have these awesome angel wings just by manifesting them out of thin air. No, I decided, hey, I want a cool backdrop. And I asked and I took action and I bought the wings. I asked you to make me some drawings so that I could illustrate easily on Zoom calls and Facebook Lives, higher self versus ego. So you have to actually do those things. And then you have to allow the answers, okay? And you have to be aware of the answers that come. If you set up signals and signs and things like that with your angels and your guides and your higher self, you can make an encyclopedia of signs. I have all kinds of signs that mean certain things to me because I've established that mean absolutely nothing to anybody else, okay? And so when I get those signs and symbols, I know, okay, this is the answer. And then I can move forward with whatever it is that I'm doing. But really being aware, taking action, which also can include asking, and then allowing are the A's in connecting with your inner divine and your higher self. So I use higher self, consciousness, inner divine, inner nature, things like that. I use all of those interchangeably with also intuition. So it is really the highest point of your intuition that you're meeting. When I do the meditation and take people into the tunnel, I take them into the tunnel of their soul, and you meet your soul. You meet your higher self / intuition / angel.
Yeah, and it's pretty spectacular the way that you lead us in there and get us into that state so that we can fully connect.
Thank you.
One thing that, and you kind of covered this because you have, I love that, you have an encyclopedia of signs. I did not know that. That's fantastic. But for just anybody, how can they ask for a sign?
So all you have to do is go within, and if you want to meditate, you can. You do not have to be like, you do not have to do that. You absolutely can do that, but you do not have to be like that to meditate, okay? You can lay in your bed in the morning when you wake up and just take a few peaceful minutes to yourself and think about nothing. You can also connect by asking. So what I do is I invite my angels in the morning, and I say, angels, guides of the highest white light, thank you for being here. Thank you for helping me today. I give you permission to help me today, and I appreciate you doing whatever you can to enhance my life. Anytime I need a sign about something, I will ask the question. I will say, okay, I need a sign about whether I should do this. For example, today, there was something that I've been thinking about, this particular program, and I'm like, should I do it? Should I not do it? And I really have been on the fence about whether I'm supposed to do it. And I've been getting a no. Every single time I ask about it, I get a no, 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 no. And then today I was like, you know what? I'm going to check in one more time because I really kind of wanted to do the program, but my higher self is saying no. My angels are saying no. Everybody's saying no. And so today I'm like, okay, I'm going to check in one more time. And it was still a no. It's still a no again. So my no's are a snake. And just before, I don't know if you guys watch Yellowstone, and if you do and you didn't watch the episodes on Sunday, then don't listen to this part. Spoiler alert. So my no is a snake. And like literally right before that whole snake thing happened, I was asking about this program. And so I asked about this program, and then all of a sudden, like, snake, and I'm like, oh God, oh my gosh, I can't believe I saw that. Like, what? And so there it was, like really plain as day. It's a no. Pay attention. So you have to really allow the answers to come. And I know that's hard. And guess what? There are answers absolutely everywhere. And you guys, the very first thing that you think about something the immediate response, not the response that you want to have, but the immediate response is really your higher self and your intuition telling you what you need to do. And you need to pay attention to the very first response, not the response you want to have.
Yeah, and it's hard to start doing that and just go, okay, yes, I know I really don't want to. So one thing that has come up multiple times when I'm talking to people about asking for signs or connecting with their higher self and asking their higher self to guide them, the human in them always says, well, who am I? Especially with people who are very religious still, they say, who am I to ask God for anything? Like, what makes me so special that I can ask for a sign? I feel like he's got a lot more important things to do, you know? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
So God is omnipresent, and so are most of his angels that he sends out as his heralds. And there is absolutely no reason that you can't ask for a sign. Who are you not to ask for a sign? God put us here, Spirit put us here to live life a certain way and to have things in our life. It is not up to us to determine what that path is or how that path should be. That is something that God has already determined. And asking for an easier way to something is absolutely not a problem. God didn't put us here to suffer. Now, there are some people that are here for this lifetime to learn lessons about suffering and things like that, but God didn't put us here to necessarily suffer. And I don't think that there's any reason that you can't ask God for something, because we're taught that we can talk to God in prayer, right? So some people, it's easier. Like for me, I don't pray to angels. I talk to angels because I have a connection to angels. And it's easier for me to talk to angels than it is to pray to God, right? That's just me. For some people, it's going to be a lot easier to say a prayer than it is to talk to angels. And that's okay. Actually, for most people, it's probably a lot easier to do that. For me, it's just different. And that's just my journey. But there's nothing in the Bible that I know of that says you have to be a certain something, something, something to be able to ask God for a sign or to be able to ask God for something in your life. No, we're all the same in God's eyes. We're all God's children, and it is a-okay for you to make an ask.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that. Somebody needed to hear that today. So, we're coming up on the end of our half an hour, and I want to honor your time. But if there is anything else that you'd love to share, you have a program that you were getting ready to launch. If you want to share what that is about, go, please do.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm going to start offering my Confidence with Grace program. What it is, it's a 2-week mini program, and it's going to be in a challenge style. We're going to do it all on Facebook. If you want to have the information, I haven't launched it yet, but if you want to get the information as soon as it comes out, you can go to theangelqueen.com/confidence. And you can sign up there and you'll get the email as soon as it comes out to sign up. I haven't opened enrollment yet, but I'm going to soon. And in that class, what we're going to do is every day for 2 weeks, I'm going to go live and we're going to talk about how you can actually connect with your higher self like a lot easier, and how you can have the confidence by that connection to walk into any room and absolutely own it. Now, some people don't want to own the room. They just want to have the confidence to walk in, and that's okay. But once you get finished with this mini program, you're going to have the confidence to be able to do that and know that you are living your life in an authentic way. Also, I have just finished some affirmation cards. And so I created the Angel Queen affirmation cards. It might be backwards on your screen, but this is what they look like on the back. And I've just been shuffling them So I'm going to see which one we get here that comes out. Okay, this is a really good one. The affirmation card is, I find joy every day. So I think that's a really great one. Joy is actually my word for this year, which I love. And I think it's really important to find joy and gratitude and any positive thing that you can every single day, even if it's just something little. Even if you're having a terrible day, not everything about that day is terrible. There's something you can find joy in, and I would encourage everyone to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I have higher self paintings coming out thanks to Angela. She's actually been pushing me for a couple of years now to get these higher self paintings and divine connection paintings produced. And I'm finally stepping into that confidence and producing those. So
I am so excited for those. I can't wait. Have you shared yours yet?
I shared just a peek of it, so
Okay.
only the people in our Voxer have been able to see the whole thing, and it still is in process because we've been moving a bit. But we land again on Friday for a nice 2-week long stay, and I will be able to be back in flow and get back in touch with that and paint away.
Awesome. I love it. I can't wait to see the finished product because it is so good, you guys. I'm so excited for this.
Well, I thank you so much for all of your pushing, your encouragement, and just saying, what the heck is wrong? Just do it already. It's that as soon as you said take action, that take action piece is very crucial. You get the guidance. You have to move your feet.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining me. I loved having you on as my guest, and we should do it again sometime.
Thank you, Jessica. I love being here. And thanks to everybody. If you guys have any questions, post them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer the questions afterwards. I haven't even looked at the chat, so I don't even know who's there or if anyone posted anything. But if you do have any questions about anything we've said, I'll be happy to answer them later.
Yeah, and be sure to put your link into the comments as well.
Sure.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
talk
Bye.
to you again soon. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us.